So today's the day. Wow, this show looks pretty good actually. Maybe all the Twitter hype was right. I guess maybe I'll just watch one episode.
Hey!
Don't click that watch button.
Not yet, anyway. Look, I'm not saying don't watch it at all.
No.
I think it's probably going to be pretty damn good.
The one thing I do know is this is just the beginning.
Yeah, it looks pretty sick.
But you should watch the cartoon. The original first. Trust me, you won't regret it. That show hits on so many different levels that I think the live action show is going to have a really hard time grasping. And in a moment, I'm going to tell you why. Don't worry, I'm going to try to avoid the big spoilers anyways. But emotion, style, tone. With the cartoon as its predecessor, the live action has some massive shoes to fill. It would be a huge injustice both to yourself and the franchise as a whole if you didn't watch the cartoon first. And I think watching the cartoon first will show you exactly why everyone's so worried about this live action show and why everybody loves the cartoon so much. I'm sure all of the necessary information is going to be captured quite well, and the story as a whole is probably going to be just as good, if not better, than the cartoon. I hope. But I just finished watching the cartoon, and all I can say is wow. This show, first and foremost, is a fucking fantastic story. That should be reason enough for you to watch it. But rest assured, it's not the only reason. To start, it captures the audience with complex and interesting characters.
Oh, my cabbages!
Really cool magical creatures.
Lemur!
And magical lands. Fights. Lots of insane fights. Which, by the way, are all choreographed and designed to have different martial arts at the core of each element. And I think that's fucking sick. I hope they keep up with that. And insanely good world building. Like, perfect world building, which, by the way, is one of my passions. I'll probably make some videos on that in the future, so hit that like and sub button, baby. It's a true hero's journey, kinda, from start to finish, with ups and downs, tears, and laughs, and moral dilemmas. But still, it isn't only that. I'm sure you all know how it starts. The boy in the iceberg, the evil fire prince, 2 hillbillies from the Southern Water Tribe. But after it grasps you and brings you along this story, you not only get to see what wacky adventures the gang goes along, but how they get through them. You follow a character, a 112-year-old boy.
What? That's impossible. Do I look like a 112-year-old man to you?
Who struggles to cope with the loss of his entire race, but also with the immense weight of the world's fate on his shoulders. Some pretty deep stuff. And somehow the show takes you on these episodic adventures, still leaves you feeling wholesome and giddy at the end of each episode, despite some gruesome battles. And ruthless villains.
Just think. Centuries from now, people will study the great Admiral Zhao, who destroyed the last of the Water Tribe civilization.
I can confidently say that this show left me with a smile on my face and the urge to continue watching. Every single time. I mean, there were nights where I really should have just stopped watching, but kept going anyways because it's just that good. And that's really important. I think the live action will definitely grab your attention, lead you on to the next episode with excitement and interest, but I'd be really surprised if it inspired that same feeling the cartoon did. That same airy and light feeling of childish joy. The feeling of, wow, not only is this a cool world with cool people and cool places, it's also a fun little story that just gets bigger and bigger and bigger as the story goes along. The show builds slowly and meticulously toward each season finale, so subtly and expertly that you won't even realize you're at the end of the season until something really big happens. And before you know it, the entire culmination of episodes joins together and forms the making of a truly fascinating and emotional end. And the fact that through all the comedy and the fun-loving adventure, they still manage to not skimp on the severity and ruthlessness that these kids face is amazing. The villains are truly evil. And not just for the sake of being evil, they face their own challenges, their own motives, and their own moral dilemmas. Some more than others. It gives the viewer the impression that though they're a group of silly little kids up against the whole world,
Then we're in this together.
they fight for a reason. They fight for a purpose. And a seriously dangerous one at that. These kids face scenarios that even a seasoned war veteran would have trouble making decisions about.
He's earthbending. No, you idiot, it's the girl. Oh, of course.
And they do so usually after learning some really hard lessons. The live action is said to be a serial dramatization. And I think in layman's terms, that essentially means that the show will be a bit more linear, a bit more streamlined. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to skip on the emotion or the hard lessons or the brutal decisions that the gang has to make. But I think it won't hit. Not like the cartoons did. The cartoon was episodic, which means, yes, the character development is a bit hastened, but you get to see from start to finish the problem, the way they solve it,
You're a genius!
and the lessons they learned along the way. I think that's part of what makes the original cartoon so special, and something media as a whole no longer takes part in. And I think it's one of the biggest reasons the show leaves you with that airy feeling of joy and that smile on your face. Each episode is an independent journey, though it might be hard and sometimes incredibly deep and sad. Yes, I have cried watching this show. Shut the fuck up, you will too. It also means that after fighting through their issues, getting through their arguments, discovering new strengths, both physically and emotionally, you get to leave on a high note. It shows you that, just like in real life, after you've been knocked down, beaten and battered, you can learn from your mistakes, get back up, and charge forward with a smile on your face. Thank you for watching.